In the first episode, we talked about structure, how discipline holds when motivation disappears, how order can carry you when feelings stop cooperating. But Epictetus noticed something important. Even when people became disciplined in their actions, many of them were still unsettled. They showed up. They followed the structure. They did what they said they would do. And yet, something inside them stayed restless. That's where this episode begins. Epictetus had already solved one problem. He knew how to act without depending on motivation. But another problem remained. Even with structure, suffering didn't fully disappear. And he eventually understood why. The problem wasn't action. The problem was desire. Epictetus lived a life where loss was normal. Comfort could disappear, safety could disappear, people could disappear. If your happiness depends on holding on to things that can be taken from you, you live in constant tension. That was his struggle. Not how to act, but how to want. So he asked a question most people avoid. What if desire itself needs discipline? Not indulgence, not suppression, but training. Most of us grow up believing desire is innocent. If you want something, you should chase it. If you don't have it, you're missing something. Epictetus didn't see desire that way. To him, desire was a form of dependence. The more you want what you don't control, the more power the world has over you. Think about his situation. He couldn't guarantee safety. He couldn't guarantee comfort. He couldn't guarantee tomorrow. If he allowed himself to deeply want those things, he would live in constant anxiety. So he did something radical. He lowered his desires to match what life could realistically give him. This is where his solution appears. Epictetus didn't try to get more. He tried to want less because he understood leverage. If your happiness depends on outcomes, you are owned by outcomes. If your happiness depends on other people, you are owned by other people. Desire decides who you serve. So Epictetus disciplined desire the same way he disciplined action. He focused it only on what obeyed him. His effort, his character, his response. Everything else became optional. This is why people listened to him. His calm didn't come from luck. It came from wanting very little from a world that could take everything. That's authority, not theory, but experience. Here's where the story gets uncomfortable. Because this solution worked, and it worked too well, when you train yourself to want less, you reduce disappointment, but you also reduce longing. You feel fewer highs, fewer crashes. Life becomes stable. But stability has a texture, and not everyone likes it. Epictetus gained freedom from frustration, but he also stepped away from intensity, from hunger, from chasing. The question he never fully answered was this: at what point does control turn into numbness? Desire isn't just a problem, it's also what pulls us toward life, toward love, toward meaning, toward creation. If you discipline desire too much, you risk flattening experience. Epictetus accepted that risk, because for him, chaos was worse. Now let's bring this into modern life. We don't live like Epictetus, but desire still controls us. We want faster results, recognition, comfort, validation, certainty, and when we don't get them, we suffer. Even if we're disciplined, even if we're doing everything right. This is why people burn out even while staying productive. Their actions are controlled, their desires are not. Epictetus would say, if you don't discipline what you want, no amount of discipline in what you do will bring peace. But here's the part that matters. This isn't about extinguishing desire. It's about placing it carefully. Epictetus didn't stop caring. He redirected care. He wanted to act well, to respond well, to stay internally free. Everything else became negotiable. That's a hard shift to make. because it means letting go of outcomes you've been emotionally attached to. Success, approval, recognition, and replacing them with something quieter. Self-command. This is where most people hesitate, because desire gives life color, and discipline threatens to dull it. Epictetus knew that. He just decided that stability mattered more. This is the tension we inherit. We want discipline to give us peace, but we also want desire to keep life exciting. And those two things pull in opposite directions. Epictetus doesn't give us a perfect answer. He gives us a trade: less desire, less suffering; more desire, more disappointments. The question isn't which is right. The question is which cost you're willing to pay. I've turned this idea into a simple one-page framework, not to tell you what to want, but to help you notice which desires are costing you more than you realize. It's free. It's linked below. If you have a different perspective, or if you've used the discipline map from the first episode, I'd genuinely like to hear your thoughts in the comments. And if you want to follow this series, you're welcome to subscribe. This was episode 2 in our 5-part series on Epictetus and discipline. Next, we'll look at what happens when discipline is practiced quietly, without praise, without recognition, and without anyone watching. I'll see you in the next episode.